In order to survive, you chose to limit your awareness. December 29, 2015. Do not be alarmed as a number of unexpected events unfold quite early in 2016. Much has been going on at deeper levels of the human collective as you prepare yourselves collectively and individually for your awakening, and the effects of those preparations will start to become apparent in various areas of human endeavor. There will be much to intrigue and delight you in 2016 in spite of the ongoing disagreements and conflicts occurring across the world, which the mainstream media tends to use to further develop their fear-driven agendas, which would encourage you to believe that things will only get worse. To awaken is to become free. Free of all the emotional and psychological baggage that drains your energy fields and undermines your enthusiasm for life, leaving you depressed and unmotivated as you struggle with your daily round of worldly commitments. Commitments that seem only to increase in number no matter how many you resolve and leave behind. The illusory world, in which humans appear to interact as separate individuals, with each one seemingly in an almost constant battle for survival while seeking desperately for love and acceptance, is a very demanding and exhausting environment. But every one of you chose to be here at this time to undergo and grow from the lessons that you set upon your path before you incarnated, and to assist humanity in general to awaken. You do each have an essential purpose on earth in every moment, but uncovering that purpose and allowing it to emerge and change your lives is not that easy, although it is simple. Simple? Yes, it is simply to be love in action. However, the world in which you experience life as humans seems so real and dangerous that to just live seems to demand almost all of your personal energy and resources, leaving little time or motivation for your essential spiritual task. When you feel threatened and fearful, you erect defenses and conceal yourselves behind masks that disguise your true identity. You have been doing this for so long that you have forgotten that your true identity is as one with each other and with God. Instead, you fear one another, even in the most intimate of relationships, because betrayal of trust has become endemic. The only way out of this quagmire of fear is to let it go and allow love to direct you in every moment. But, because your unreal and threatening environment appears so real to you, that seems to be an insane course of action, one that is bound to end in disaster. Over the eons, wise ones have come among you frequently to demonstrate this way of living, and while for the most part acknowledging the wisdom of the lessons they have taught and demonstrated, you have convinced yourselves that they are somehow special, and that what they did and how they lived is impossible for normal people. Now, with the power of the tsunami of love flowing freely across the planet, more and more of you are feeling its effects and are reassessing your lives and the way you are living them. You are recognizing that life is intended to be a far more uplifting and satisfying experience than a purely materialistic lifestyle can ever provide, and so you are turning inwards to engage with meditative and contemplative practices. These practices are enabling you to find within you a sense of peace and resilience that confirms for you that your true nature is indeed spiritual, while giving you the strength to remove your masks and operate daily from that place of inner strength by engaging with love instead of with fear. You are, as most of you well know, spiritual beings of great power and creativity, having a temporary limited experience as humans within the illusory world that you built when you made the decision to be separate and to accumulate the strange but utterly unreal knowledge that life separated from your source would allow you to investigate. You knew that separation was impossible because there is only all that is, which is oneness, extant in an infinite creative field where love is the power that makes all that is possible possible. By entering the illusion, the unreal and temporary environment that you had constructed for some temporary and seemingly promising diversions from your natural state of limitless creative ability, you lost sight of and then totally forgot who you were. That was your intention, it was to be part of the game, but God, understanding how lost, frightened, and confused you would become, instantly provided the means for you to retrieve your memory, awaken from the dream, and return to your divine home, even though you had never left. Yes, what you constructed in order to play with the sense of separation was and is very convincing once you engage with it, and seemingly find yourself within it. split into innumerable myriad individual entities, each of whom felt alone, abandoned, insignificant, and of little if any value in the apparently vast universe in which you found yourselves, fear arose. Fear is utterly unreal, and therefore you had never experienced it. But, within the illusion, it arose because you were now apparently a tiny and insignificant individual desperately attempting to survive in a very hostile environment in which others, just like you, were dealing with the same issues in myriad different ways. The experience was, and remains, overwhelming. In order to survive, you chose to limit your awareness so that the illusion's vastness and your insignificance would be hidden from you. This limited the amount of fear or terror that you might experience. However, in the last few centuries, your scientists have begun to realize how vast the illusion is, and that shocking realization has led you to seek an escape from your seemingly complete insignificance in the larger scheme of things. Throughout the ages of the illusion there has always been what has come to be called the perennial philosophy, after a recent book of the same name, whereby it is seen that all the world's major religions have always offered the same basic spiritual message, a message of unconditional love. However, as these religions became established and mainstream, the message became corrupted because the first followers of these loving beings, the founders of these religions, on whose beliefs and ways of life these various religions claim to be based, almost invariably sought to attain personal power and influence through their connection to the Holy One. Consequently, most religious organizations, instead of showing love in action, built power bases from which their leaders could draw enormous material benefits while subjugating the masses of separated souls, who were desperately seeking salvation, by convincing them to surrender their sovereignty and instead support the hierarchy that they then used to support for its own nefarious purposes. Now awareness of this corruption has become so widespread that the elite bloodlines who have enjoyed, engaged in, and used these corrupt practices for eons, can no longer control humanity. Humanity has, as we have remarked before, made the collective decision to awaken into their true heritage as unseparated divine beings at one with God. And that decision is irreversible. You will awaken, because it is your and God's will that you do so, and because you are already awakening. Your main, indeed your only task is to be loving in every moment. You know that love is always the answer, regardless of any question that might be asked, because with love there are no ifs, ands, or buts. So, walk your talk. That is how the world changes, by people, just like you, walking their talk. It does not change through rhetoric, discussion, or argument, let alone through war and conflict. It changes one person at a time, and now is the time when all persons are changing together. The will to change exists, because it is the divine will. So does the intention, because you have all had enough pain, suffering, and war. Therefore be sure to go within daily and hold God's light on high, by intending to be a conduit or channel through which the divine field of love, the tsunami of love, flows freely and abundantly in every moment to all on the planet. The results will astound you. Your loving brother, Jesus. Channeled by John Smallman. johnsmallman2.wordpress.com